This is Stephanie. I feel like it's been a long time since I've had coffee. Okay, as many of you know, part of this project, Changing Scripts, is not just a mental linguistic exercise on my part, not just the ability to get a view into other people's cultures and what a different people are talking about in a different place, aka China. It's not just that individual goal, it's the goal of I will forever be a teacher of sorts, I think. Excuse me. I'm so thirsty. I will forever be a kind of trainer or someone that wants to help people learn something. Now, it seems ironic that when I started this project, I wanted to make mobile apps to help people who don't speak English learn to not speak, but people who don't know how to read and write in English to be able to write in English, because writing, despite the fact that I've been speaking a lot on this channel, is truly my number one love, my first love. My fingers tingle, my toes tingle, and I get really happy and excited. I mean, impossible to shut up when I get really excited about what I'm writing about. And by shut up, I mean my fingers go crazy on the keyboard. Or at least they used to prior to the wrist problem, which is getting better finally. Thank you to my chiropractor. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is this. I want to make mobile apps to help people learn language better so they can communicate, whether it is just peeking in like I want to on a culture via a written text, or speak to people. More so the peeking in via the writing thing, or communicating via writing. Okay, so what is my point? My point is, in looking at all the apps and trying out a lot of the apps on learning Chinese as a beginner, I realized massive gaps of things that, coming from a language such as English in the Roman script, that need to exist to help less people drop off when they're learning a language, to help people continue on, to feel like they have a path to continue the language. There's too much that's presented too quickly in the Chinese language when you're coming from a script such as English. So my goal has kind of combined in a way, where instead of making mobile apps to help people write better in English first, I'm very, very tempted, because selfishly, as I make, I'm very tempted to make the apps for beginners of Chinese first, despite my incredibly low level of Chinese. I just finished making my HSK1 flashcards. It doesn't mean they're all in my head, but I just finished them, and I've started HSK2, but that's another video. Keep an eye out for that. Despite my low level of Chinese, I feel like the base that I got very accidentally, well, with hard work and accidentally finding good resources, I feel like the base that I got from that over the first 7 or 8 months, maybe 6 or 7 months, was really, really helpful in keeping me going by lowering the cognitive load, by focusing on different aspects of the base of the language. It's no surprise, right? It's learning the meanings of the radicals, it's learning maybe not being able to produce the sounds necessarily, the pinyin well, or the tones well, but being aware of them. It's amazing how much I can pick up just by understanding how syllabic and small, like what is it called, bisyllabic or whatever, the language is. I can sit there and do my finger modeling when somebody's asking me a question. I can kind of figure out, replicate what they're saying back to them, because I can kind of understand how to dissect the language. Kind of. I mean, I'm still really rudimentary at this, but it's way better than the wall of sound this language used to feel like. So as someone who is, as I say in my About section, the crappiest language learner known to man, I feel like I could be one of those people to put products onto the market to help the beginners, people coming from a language such as English into learning Chinese. I feel like I could be one of those people to make some products to help people before they get to the HSK even. before they get to basic speaking and stuff like that, like some of the basics that are missing in the vast majority of the materials that exist right now, especially in mobile apps. So my conundrum now, okay, because you're thinking, hey, okay, you've got it, go ahead, go make them. You think you can revolutionize Chinese learning with mobile app? Not sure I'm going that far, but no, but I feel like I can add to the market in a way that would help people stay learning the language longer by breaking down the beginning parts. Here's the conundrum, and I wanted mostly to document this then, so it's not really asking for advice so much as it's documenting the process, because I'm very curious 1 or 2 or 3 years from now when I look back at this, what I'm going to think of this conundrum. I can code a little bit. I spent time in my PhD program that I did not finish, coding with Python. I got pretty comfortable as you can get with coding, which means I didn't throw the computer across the room anymore. One of the windows that was always open was Stack Overflow, and I knew to walk away and come back if I got that frustrated. And things worked. Databases talked to websites, websites talked to databases, and things moved. However, that's websites, and I want to build mobile apps. So I started an online course in Android mobile apps, because I'm not an Apple person at all. I'm quite an anti-Apple person in some regards. So I started that, and after not doing any coding for a year, a lot of the aspects of coding that I hate and that seem to go against my very core as the characteristics of my personality came flooding back to me. And I realized I've got this dual thing. I want to make mobile apps and I don't want to code. And I think I might have mentioned it before, I've been exposed to, that sounds so weird. I found out about visual programming almost immediately after starting this project. And I almost took an online class on it. And then I didn't. Things were kind of tight the first few months. We moved back to China last year. And so I waited. And now that particular course has gone to a live boot camp, which is very exciting, but does not exist in China. So I'm trying to figure out, well, I need to contact the person that started it, because she used to have an online course, which was much more reasonable financially and geographically. So I need to find out if she's doing both or if she's just doing the in-person boot camps. Either way, I could find other ways of learning the visual programming. There are other ways to learn it. I just really like this particular individual's approach to the promotion side, as well as the programming side, as well as the just the whole business side of it seems to be very, very, very structured. And I really, really like how she's done that. So I really want to take her course. In lieu of that, I did sign up for an Udemy, Udemy, I'll put it down in the show notes, course on Android. I think I started the sentence a few minutes ago. Anyway, sorry, I've got so much to tell you, and I just haven't had time to tell you. Anyway, so I started a Udemy Android mobile app course, and that's when all this hatred for the actual physical programming side came back to me. Even just installing the apps to do the course, and from the video lecture to the app itself, things being out of date and them not fixing them, but still selling the course. Granted, it's $11, but it's out of date, guys. In things like, so there being so many moving parts in coding, and them changing all the time, and you having to open 20 windows to ask questions in 6 different million areas. I know my numbers are not matching up right now. It just, the segmentation and the online madness that needs to happen to get one line of code down frustrates me to no end. And I realized it was $11 well spent, because it reminded me of why I didn't have a burning passion the whole year. That, granted, a lot of life was going on, and I was starting to learn the Chinese language and all of those kinds of things, so time got really crunched. But also, let's face it, there are things when you want to do them, you do them, and not coding for a year, I think pretty much answers my question on do I want to traditional code or do I want to visual code these apps? Because you know what? I'm making this app. I've got ideas for at least 3 to 4 language apps, 1 or 2 of which in Chinese, and I guess it's 4 because of 2 in English to learn English. And I want to make them. I've got a strong creation vibe going on, and it's been a year, and I haven't crushed it. It's only gotten stronger. And I really like having a creation vibe. I really like wanting to produce things, wanting to make things, wanting to create instead of deconstruct. And I think that's also one of the things there's so many parts of coding that don't seem to fit my personality. But there's this eternal struggle of, well, that's where a lot of jobs are, so if I learn to code my own, and what if those apps don't take off and it doesn't feed into a greater business model that I think I might be moving towards at some point in my future life before I get too old to do any of this. And then at least I can take those skills and be marketable in the future when the jobs that I do now will go away because everything will get so automated, which is not a fearful thought, it's a realistic thought. Because if you haven't read Rise of the Robots, I strongly advise it. Things are going to change. Things have already changed within the job market, and I thought, worst case scenario, I'll be learning skills for the new markets. However, I listened to an interesting video yesterday, or I watched an interesting video where they talked about trends in future job market when all of this happens. And they did talk about, because a lot of the automated stuff is going to be automated as it is already happening, creativity will actually still be valued because that's something you can never automate. And I thought, oh God, this whole time I've been trying to get, kind of force myself to do these skills that would still make me employable in the future. And I'm a very creative person. And yet I never even, for some reason I thought those jobs would be completely gone. So I think I'm going to need to look into visual programming to do my mobile apps, because it's literally click and drag. And I don't need to code. I don't feel like I need to prove myself, or maybe I do. Maybe that's the whole struggle. I need to prove that I can code because that will prove that I'm smart. But you know what? No, I am. So who cares? I have to. It's just it's a struggle in my head. But this is the struggle. The struggle is real. Whether I code traditionally or I code with visual programming, the mobile app is going to look the same. That's what kills me. It's like, if visual programming exists, why don't more people do it? I don't get it. I don't get it. So I guess that's something I'll learn as I do that. But I have a lot of research to do since the original class that I wanted to do it in doesn't exist anymore. So Udemy, I hope you like my $11 that I'm not going to use the course, because I'm not going to finish that course. It's so frustrating to do any bit of it. It's just madness. And my computer's like, yeah, never mind. My computer's dying, which is a whole other maddening issue, to have all of your projects be on a computer and have your computer literally bleh, 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 as you're trying to use it. Oh yeah. Okay, it doesn't make the sound, but it does make the visual of like crazy visuals. Anyway, I wanted this to be a quick video to document the conundrum of, do I have to do the traditional coding in order to make it a successful mobile app? The answer is no. And 2, that that the shift from the mobile apps I want to make being to learn English was the strongest one when I started, and now I think I can make some to help people get the basics of the Chinese language before they go any normal traditional route. So kind of to do before they do all the stuff that's out there now. So it's not to replace anything really. So I wouldn't even be taking away anybody's business. I'd be hopefully feeding to it, because hopefully the apps that I would make would help people stay in Chinese language learning to the point where they could use all of the good resources that are there, but that are pitched too high right now for people who need that extra step to not kill their cognitive load and to not overwhelm them. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, and I'll let you know when I find visual programming classes. I've already done the layout of the first app I want to make, so it's kind of frustrating because I've got the idea of what it's going to look like and what's going to be on it. I've got the content. I just need to get the program to make it. Here we go.